G'day and welcome back. Today I thought I'd have a look at this Kingsley radiogram. Now these radiograms were built from about 62 to 1970, I believe. Kingsley were a Melbourne manufacturer, and I'm not sure exactly what they did. There wasn't a lot of this stuff around. I haven't seen Kingsley around all that much. And I've seen Kingsley badges on other manufacturers' radios, so I really don't know what they did. They did do their own manufacture, and this is a Kingsley unit, but I believe the chassis design is based on a Philips Tempo 277. Now, as I said, it is a radiogram, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. Now, the model is RKR, and I've managed to print out the schematic for it. I found one, which was good. It was on Radio Museum. This has been stored out in a garage or a workshop or somewhere. It's extremely rusty, and you can see that it's just gone rusty. I think that's plastic with a gold underneath it, which is pretty common back in the 60s. It's stereo, as you can see, but that'll be for the record player, of course. It's an AM radio. It has two indicators on the dial, and I actually, when I saw it first time, I thought maybe it's FM, but it's not. It's just the AM, but it's just the dial, and they've spread it over the wide area there and put two indicators, so they just move in unison. Let's have a look under the lid. Something's a bit stiff there. There's the record player. It's a Garrard unit. It's a Model 1000, auto, fully automatic. Let's see what's under here. Oh, it looks like a Ronette cartridge there. It's missing the stylus, of course. That's on 45. It's got the 78 stylus there. And here's the 50 to 60-year-old rubber mat. It feels all right. Doesn't feel quite crispy yet. There's a little clip in the corner there. It's the clip that holds the platter down, so somebody's had a look in there. Inside the lid here, the clear coat has lifted or shrunk away from the wood, so I can probably just clean that up and give it another bit of clear coat. Now the top of the lid, it's got quite a few scratches on it, some little dings in it. I can probably take the top coating off here and just refinish the top and try not to upset the colour too much. I think that'll be okay. I'll remove the four mounting screws and we'll have a look underneath. There's no way of sort of lifting this up. I can't lift it with that. I'll take the platter off. Maybe there's some retainers there that'll let me get the turntable off. Can't see anything. There's lockdown screws there. I'll lock the turntable down and see if I can pull it up after that. I'll try that now. It's tight. I can see the problem. There's a hidden screw at the back there. I didn't see that. I'll get that out. Okay, so this time for sure. Okay. Alright, there's a phono plug there. Another one up there. At first glance it looks a bit Philipsy. It's got Philips IF transformers, and it's got the permeability tuner as well. There's a plug there for the speakers. There's two screws on each end of the chassis holding it down. I have the four screws out, but I've got to get these knobs off. They're screwed on, so I'll undo the screws and take them off. Now, of course, I can't get this last screw undone. I'll let it soak with some penetrant. So in the meantime, I'll have a look inside here. These look like Christmas or Easter egg wrappers. Yeah, little Easter egg wrappers, I think. It's an old rubber band. Oh, that's gone petrified. There's a little container in the corner. It says Ronette BF40 replacement stereo needle. There's nothing in it. No, it's empty. Okay, I'll give this another go. Gosh. I think it's going. There. This should come out. Oh, wait on, there's an aerial. There's some sort of rudimentary antenna effort in there. I'll just undo it. There we go. Alright, I'll try again. That should come out now. There we go. There's a stamp in here from the cabinet manufacturer, and it's, I think, Prestige Furniture in West Brunswick. Now, West Brunswick is only a suburb up from where I used to live at Essendon in Melbourne. At the bottom it says European labour only. Well, this was made at a time when there was a lot of immigration to Australia from Europe. I'm not sure why they felt the need to put that on their stamp, but yeah, different times back then. There's the top view. There's not a lot happening there. Ah, very sparse. It's only got 4 valves. I think it might have a selenium rectifier. Here's the bottom, selenium rectifier there, a little filter cap, mustard caps from Philips. Yeah, so probably all that'll be okay. I just need to replace that, the selenium rectifier. I'll check all the resistors, of course. So provided the transformers are okay, this should be good to go. I really need to do a lot to this. Now this backplate behind the dial is very yellow. I've never seen anything like it. Actually, it's paper. I think it's paper. Yeah. Huh. All right. I'll take this outside, blow all the dust off it, then I'll go and put it on my little workbench. I blew all the dust off the chassis and it's come up pretty good. I've connected a couple of speakers here and I'm ready to put some power on. All right, I'll put it on dim bulb, 240 volts, lights on, lights going off, one globe working. That's a selector switch, that's the volume, I think. So I'm not sure what we're on here. Making some odd noises there. Yeah, not getting much out of this. That's disappointing. I really thought this would just work out of the box. I'll take the aerial off. It's getting through. There's something there. So it's working. I'll try another aerial I've got here.
So I'll keep you updated on that. We did have a brief breakdown of Rockley, that's all been cleared. Garrard
I put a knob on there, I couldn't turn it.
Everyone is asking me to pay up front.
So it's working. It was the aerial that was stopping it working.
You took a rocket from my teammate, a fellow.
For a torchbearer at $1.40. They're about to bring them up now. Melton for race number 10, where number 4 Electrojet and number 10 Just a Molly, $3.90 each of the two. That's
Well, that's actually working really well because that's a very hard station to get. Once again, I'm left with a radio that doesn't have anything worked onto it. I will change the capacitors. There's absolutely no hum at all, so they're all working, but I'll change them anyway in case they fail. This front needs to be cleaned up or made white again. It's just paper or cardboard, so that's got to be done. Some of the controls are stiff, so I just need a bit of a spray or something to loosen them up. And that's probably all I need to do to that. I'll check the alignment of the probably just do the RF alignment, actually make sure these are in the right place. Today I thought I'd address this selenium rectifier. It has to go. They're not reliable. This one seems to be working all right. I've had this running for half an hour or so and it's not even warm. So to replace it, I'm going to assume that's working okay. I've replaced the filter here and the 2 filter caps on the top, and I'll take some measurements now. I didn't want to take measurements with the old caps in. I've set the variac to 240 volts so I can put it back there later, and we're reading 265. I did actually measure the voltages with the old capacitors in, so it hasn't changed, 266. The output valve plates were 235, and I measured the cathode for fun, but the plate's the one I'm concerned with. So I'll measure the plate again. Here we are. It should be the same, 235, and this one here, 235. Okay, so I'll turn the power off. I have a pre-built bridge rectifier, which I normally use. I also have some 1N4007 diodes. I wonder if I could restuff the old one. Not that I need to, just try something different. So I'll start by unsoldering this old one. Alright, I've got it here. I'll see if I can get it open. It doesn't want to move. Don't think I can slide it out. There it goes. I think it had some glue on it. Oh, springs everywhere. Oh, okay. Looks in pretty good condition. I don't think I'm pretty sure I haven't pulled one of these apart. I think I saw some people on YouTube do it once. Okay, I wasn't sure what to expect there. So there's little discs. Oh, look at these lights. Alright, I'll chuck those out. I've got the 4 diodes set up here as a bridge rectifier. I was going to try and use the original tabs that were in here in the old case and see if I can just connect to them. I'll have to cut those little extra bits off there, those bits. So I'll just be left with a tab there. So I'll try and work it out. If I put it like that, that means those two, there's positive, that's right. There's positive, that's positive. So if I put that there, that's got to go to the AC, which is that's AC, so that's right. So that can go there. The other end has to go to the other AC. So that'll go, stick him under there, that'll go there. That's got to go from that AC to that negative, that'll be negative. So that goes there. This one goes from that AC to negative. So is that it? That's all I have to do. That looks too easy. Now give me a second, I'll cut the pads off the end of these little tabs here and try and solder it all together. Alright, I'm ready to solder this. What I've done is cut the little tags off like I said. I drilled a hole in it and I've come up from the bottom of the, under the tag so that I can solder them on the top. So I will just drop a little bit of solder on each one of these, then I'll trim the leads off. Now it's really hard to do. I don't think I'd do this again, because everything just wants to keep falling over. But anyway, I hope you can see that it's a bit hard because it's got the clear plastic and the reflective aluminium. But I've got the 2 pins through there, I'll just snip them off. Now just make sure I got that the right way around. That's the positive end there. Okay, so that should go in there. So it's just a matter of bending this aluminium back. I might go and throw it in the vise just to get it nice and tight. Well, I clamped that in the vise and it clamped up really well. It's obviously they used a very soft aluminium there. I will put this back in the radio. I will only connect the AC up, just measure this before I connect it up to the radio. The dim bulb will take care of anything if this is wrong. I'm pretty sure it's right, but I'll just be careful. I've mounted it back in. I've just connected the 2 active wires to it. I'll put some power on. It's on dim bulb. We should get virtually no dim bulb. That's looking alright, 22 watts. So I'll just check with the meter here. I've got my meter on DC, 215. So that seems right, doesn't it? Okay. I'll connect the rest of the wires up. And I've wired that back in. That resistor I replaced earlier, I've got to get the big iron out to solder it to the ground. But in the meantime, I've still got it on dim bulb. I'll put some power on. And it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
there it
not
is.
Surprised too. I think we know this Australian side. To be fair, I rarely saw.
I'll just turn it down. I'll check the voltage here. We wanted to, what was it, 265 or something. So we've got 242. Everything's working. I'll just turn this down. I'll take it down a bit. I'll go to full power. So I need to put a resistor in here to drop this down, of course. That was a good guess. 263. Yikes, that's a big drop. Anyway, I'll start with about a 100 ohm resistor in here. We'll see how that goes. I've soldered a resistor in here and I was optimistic. I said 100, so I've started at 220 to drop sort of at least 20 volts. Now something I didn't think of was there's a voltage selector there. I should check to see where that's set to. It has 3 wires going in. That seems to be the common, so that'll be the low voltage and that'll be for the higher voltage setting. So I'll turn it over and just see where it's set to. I'm looking at the top of the chassis now. This is the voltage selector, it doesn't have any indicator to say what you're on, so I just have to use the pin location. So I pull it up. I'm just looking underneath here. I can see it's got 2 shorting pins, and they should have been around here. That will make it, yeah. So that must have been on 230 volts. It should have been up here. So that'll drop the voltage a bit. Now, why it hasn't got any markings on the chassis beyond me. Now the radio's warmed up. I've got it on 240 volts there. This point here is after the resistor here, and I think we had 260 something. We're down to 257. That's good. But the main measurements I need to do is the plate voltages. The schematic for this doesn't have any voltages. I went to another Phillips set, and they've got the same valve lineup, so I have copied down the voltages for that. As long as we're somewhere near that, I'll be happy. There's pin 6 on my little chart. It says 220. We've got 230. Pin 9 should be 110. We've got 106. That's good. Here's the bottom of the 6N8 valve, and pin 6 here should be 210. 216, so it's a bit higher. And pin 7 on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, the one going to the IF coil. And that's supposed to be 210 as well, and I'm not got that 210. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the voltages. I don't really know what they are, and they come up a bit high, a bit low, so they're in the ballpark. I'm happy with that. This resistor's going to run pretty warm, so I'm going to mount it down on the chassis there with a nice lump of aluminium over the top, and the chassis will draw the heat away then. Just give me 5 minutes to go and make a bracket up. I'll mount this on the chassis. We'll come back. Now I've connected the resistor up properly and put a little bracket over it. I wrote the value of the resistor on the chassis here, and I wrote restuffed 2021 on this silicon rectifier. I have a little temperature probe stuck in there, the blue wire, and I've been monitoring this for 20 minutes or so, and it's sticking around this 48 degrees, so I'm happy with that. 50 degrees is about what I normally get, so yeah, it's looking good. I'm going through checking some resistors, and most of them are pretty good. That one's 22, so 2.2 meg. And it's right on, 2.2. There's another 2.2, we'll try that one. 2.2. There's another one here, that's 270, and that's coming up at 287, so it's a little high, not too bad though. This one's 2.2 and a yellow, that's 220K, that's 238, so yeah, I could probably change that one. Another one over here, same value. 314, so yeah, that's way over. So I'll get rid of that one. Now I'll start at one side, move across and check all the resistors. I'll replace any that need to be done, and I'll come back and we'll have a look. I've gone through, checked all the resistors, and I've changed a few. I changed these 2 here. These supply the plate for the triode of the 6GW8, so they were under a bit of stress. That's why they failed. There's another one up here supplying the plate of the oscillator. That had also gone high. I changed this one here, this has gone high, this is supplying power to the whole radio. So everything's fine under here, I don't need to do any more. Here's the casualty list for this radio, not very much at all. This induction tuning mechanism seems a bit stiff. If I try and tune it, it actually rocks the whole thing, so I think it's trying to avoid moving. I'm going to clean it and put some lube on it, and hopefully it'll free it up a bit. I'm just using a bit of alcohol on this. Oh, it's actually methylated spirits. This looks like it's had molly grease. I haven't got any molly grease. Would have been nice. I'll just use this in the meantime. I'll see if I can get some. So I've covered that in grease. I will just cycle it a few times. I'll wipe off the excess. I'll clean off all the excess grease. I don't need that much in there, of course. I've cleaned all the excess grease off there. It's slightly better to use. I don't think it made much difference really. Anyway, can't do much more than that. I've sprayed all these controls with a bit of WD-40. I've wiped it off and I've just been oiling them up, so they've all come free. They're good. So I'll just let the oil soak down into the shaft there, and they'll be okay. The tuning had a bit of stiffness in the boss there, so that's freed up a bit too, so the oil's helping that along. Now I'd like to get this backing off to either paint it or replace it. I'll try painting it first. I'm not sure if it's going to come off. I don't know what damage I'm doing. I think I'm damaging it. Yeah, it seems to be damaging it. I'm probably better off just buying another one. I'm not sure I was ever going to be able to paint it anyway. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll do that in the morning. Right, I'm just back from the shop. I got a sheet of cardboard. This is 800 GSM. And I need to cut it. It's about 2.5 inches by, I think, 16 inches long. Just need a strip. Folded, I'm using the blunt side of this knife to put a crease down there. And I'll just use the ruler here to put a nice bend in it. The old backing cardboard was pretty tight. It was hard to get off. So I've scraped off as much paper as I can. And I've let it soak with this cloth on it for about an hour. And now I can get the paper pulp off, and there's the adhesive. So a bit of methylated spirits, and that cleaned up pretty well. I'm out in the garage and I'm just spraying the front with a bit of contact adhesive and the back of the cardboard backing. Now while that's tacking off, I thought I'd put a bit of red paint on the 2 pointers. That's tacked off now, and just a matter of gluing it down. Alright, there's the new cover. I'm glad I bought a new piece. It looks much better than trying to patch up the old bit. Also, while I was out, I bought some moly grease, and I've put that on that rack and pinion mechanism. These 2 pointers have dried, so I'll try and refit them. I've committed to memory how these went. I can see the marks on the string there, and that went under there, and this had 2 wraps on it and then came out the front. Yikes. That's it. That was it. Alright, that's one. The second pointer goes here. I can see some sort of marks there. I'll have to do this once the chassis is in the inside the case. There we go. Alright, that'll do those for the moment. They're working alright, but I've got another problem. You'll recall I mounted a 220 ohm resistor to drop the voltage down, and it's located about here somewhere. Unfortunately, the 2 filter capacitors are right above it, and I did have them sitting on the chassis, but I've pulled them away a little bit. I think what I'll do, I don't want these getting hot from that radiated heat, so I will desolder this, and I'm just going to lift them up a bit and then solder it back down again. I've twisted some more wire on here and soldered it onto the original leads there. So just a matter of soldering this down. The resistor that's under there is putting off about 50 degrees, so I don't think it'll affect those capacitors now. They'll be safe. That's about all I can do to the radio at the moment. It's working pretty well. I can't do the alignment until I get it inside the case there, because I need the dial on the front. So I think I'll move on to the record player. Sorry, I've just come back again. While I was editing the video, I noticed I'd nicked the string when I was putting those pointers on, so I've replaced the string. And what I found was that they had both the strings coming out this side, so they overlapped each other. Now I've redone it, so the string that's going that way is on this side of the wheel, and the string that's coming back is on this side of the wheel. And that may explain why it was so difficult to turn this thing. So I'll just finish this off and see if it works any better. I finished the restring. I also cleaned up the pulleys and put a bit of grease in those as well. And that's so much easier. It just glides along now. It's terrific. This thing isn't rocking when you're using it. Yeah, that's good. The problem was the mixture of the string overlapping as it went through here, and the 2 pulleys were a bit stiff. I should have cleaned those up earlier. But now it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now the record player is still mounted on this base here, so I'll take that off first. I've released the 2 screws there, and there should be some clips on the bottom that will allow me to remove the screws completely. There's one of them. I should be able to get that off with this pliers. There we go. Alright, that should just leave that behind now. Yeah, good. This is pretty clean, but it's just got a layer of dust on the top. That'll come off alright. This will clean up okay. Yeah, it's just a greasy dust. The bottom's just got the standard dried out grease. That's like treacle. So I think what I'll do is I'll go around and clean everything up. I'll just brush it all off with some solvent, get all the old grease off, and then I'll take it inside. Now I was going to finish cleaning inside, but I thought I'll take this cam off and clean all the grease out from under there, but I cannot move it. I've got the little E-clip off there, and I've soaked it in WD-40 and several other solvents for an hour or so, and it's not moving. So I think the only thing I can do is heat it up. That will expand the aluminium quicker than the brass centre there and loosen the grease, I hope. Now I'm assuming that's what's holding it, it's just got grease in it. Put a tin can over the idler wheel to stop it getting damaged, so I'll just heat this up and hopefully it'll let go. I'll see if that moves. Oh, easy. I'll just have a look underneath. Oh, it's pretty clean. No. Here's a close-up of the pivot pin, and it's just got like a shellac type of stuff on it, which just wouldn't let it come up. My apologies, but I'm going to cut this video here. This whole video goes for about 1.5 hours, so I've cut it into 3 parts. I didn't want to cut it in half because we'll be in the middle of the turntable repair. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you can join me again next week for my Kingsley radiogram adventure.